Midnight. I'm under the hood of my battered Ford pickup, hands covered in grease, pretending I can't hear what's happening inside my own house. But my wife Erica's voice cuts through the humid New England air like a knife through butter. "I'll be gone all weekend, Tom. Don't wait up for me." I keep my head buried in the engine compartment, adjusting a perfectly fine carburetor. 22 years of marriage, and she thinks I'm that stupid. The funny thing is, 6 months ago, I probably would have been. "Sure thing, honey," I call back, my voice steady as a rock. "Have fun at your architecture conference." Architecture conference, right. And I'm the Pope. I hear her heels clicking across the driveway, probably heading to that silver BMW that's been parked outside our house 3 times this week. The same BMW that belongs to Paul Morrison, her business partner. The same Paul Morrison who's been calling our house at odd hours, hanging up when I answer. The engine rumbles to life, and I finally look up. There she is, sliding into the passenger seat like she belongs there. 41 years old, still beautiful in that sharp, professional way that first caught my attention back in college. Her auburn hair catches the streetlight, and for a moment, I remember why I fell in love with her. Then Paul leans over and kisses her, right there in my driveway, right where our neighbors can see. I wipe my hands on an old rag, watching them drive away. My chest feels tight, but not from heartbreak, from rage. Pure, concentrated rage that's been building for months. "Well, Tom," I mutter to myself, "looks like you're finally getting that divorce you never wanted. But first, I'm going to make sure everyone in this godforsaken town knows exactly what kind of woman I married." I pull out my phone and dial Greg Patterson, my best friend since high school. He answers on the second ring. "Tom?" "It's midnight, man." "What's wrong? Remember that favor you owe me from when I fixed your roof for free?" "Yeah, of course. Why?" "I need some advice, the kind only an ex-cop would know." There's a pause. "This about Erica?" "This is about justice, Greg. The kind the courts don't deliver." "I'll be right over." 20 minutes later, Greg's sitting at my kitchen table, nursing a beer and listening to me lay out everything I know. The late nights at the office, the mysterious phone calls, the new lingerie I found in her dresser drawer, still with tags on it, the credit card bills showing dinners for 2 at restaurants I've never been to. "How long you been suspicious?" Greg asks. "Honestly? About 6 months. But I kept telling myself I was paranoid. You know how it is. You start looking for problems, you'll find them. Except these problems found you first." I nod, taking a long pull from my beer. "The thing is, Greg, I don't want her back. I'm done. But I'll be damned if I'm going to let her walk away from this marriage looking like the victim." Greg leans back in his chair, studying me. We've been friends for 30 years, and he knows me better than anyone. He knows I'm not the type to fly off the handle or do anything stupid, but he also knows that when I set my mind to something, I see it through. "What exactly are you thinking, Tom?" "I'm thinking Paul Morrison has no idea who he's messing with, and neither does my wife." "Tom, listen to me. Whatever you're planning, make sure it's legal. I can't help you if you cross that line." "Don't worry," I say, raising my beer in a mock toast. "I'm going to destroy them both, and I'm going to do it without breaking a single law." The next morning, I'm up at 6, same as always. I run my own construction company, Patterson and Sons, even though I never had any sons. Just seemed like a good name for business. I've got 3 crews working steady jobs around town, and my reputation is solid. Honest work, fair prices, and I always finish on time. That reputation is about to become very important. I'm drinking coffee and reading the local paper when my daughter Sammy calls. She's 19, a sophomore at UMass, smart as a whip, and twice as stubborn as her mother. "Dad?" Mom called me last night. She said you two are having problems. I set down my coffee cup carefully. "What exactly did she tell you, sweetheart?" "She said you've been distant lately." that you're not communicating. She's worried about the marriage. I almost laugh. The ball's on this woman. She's screwing around on me and she's worried about communication. Your mother and I are going through some things, Sammy. But don't you worry about it. We'll figure it out. Are you guys getting divorced? The question hangs in the air like smoke. I could lie to her, keep pretending everything's fine. But Sammy's not a little girl anymore, and she deserves better than that. I don't know, honey. Maybe. Would that upset you? There's a long pause. I just want you both to be happy, Dad. If you can't be happy together, then maybe you should be happy apart. Smart girl. Too smart for her own good sometimes. I love you, Sammy. Whatever happens between your mother and me, that will never change. I love you too, Dad. Just try not to do anything crazy, okay? If she only knew. After I hang up, I sit there for a while thinking. Erica's already started poisoning the well, making me out to be the bad guy. That's fine. Let her think she's ahead of the game. Let her think I'm some clueless husband who doesn't know what's going on. I finish my coffee and head out to the job site. We're renovating an old Victorian house on Elm Street, and it's the kind of work I love. Bringing something beautiful back to life, making it better than it was before. Kind of like what I'm about to do to my marriage. My foreman, Danny Rivera, is already there when I arrive. He's been with me for 8 years, and he's the best carpenter I've ever worked with. He's also got a big mouth and knows everyone in town. Morning, boss. You look like hell. Thanks, Danny. Always nice to start the day with a compliment. He grins and hands me a cup of coffee from the thermos his wife packed. Rough night? You could say that. Listen, Danny, can I ask you something? Off the record? His expression gets serious. Sure, boss. What's up? You know that architectural firm downtown? Morrison and Associates? Yeah, sure. They designed the new library. Why? You know anything about Paul Morrison personally? Danny's eyebrows go up. Paul Morrison? Yeah, I know him. My cousin Maria used to clean his office. Why you asking? Just curious. What's his reputation like? Well, Danny says, lowering his voice, according to Maria, the guy's a real piece of work. Treats his employees like garbage, thinks he's God's gift to women. She quit working there because he kept making comments, you know? Inappropriate stuff. Interesting. Very interesting. He married? I ask, trying to sound casual. Yeah, to some lawyer. Real uptight type, according to Maria. Word is, she keeps him on a pretty tight leash at home, so he acts out at work. Huh. Good to know. Danny gives me a curious look, but he doesn't push it. That's one of the reasons I like him. I spend the rest of the morning working with my hands, tearing out old drywall and exposing the bones of the house underneath. There's something therapeutic about demolition work. You get to destroy things, but it's constructive destruction. You're making room for something better. Around noon, my phone buzzes with a text message. It's from Erica. Having a wonderful time at the conference. The workshops are very educational. Love you. I stare at the message for a long moment, then delete it without responding. Let her wonder. That afternoon, I drive over to Greg's bar, the Rusty Anchor. It's a dive, but it's our dive. We've been drinking there since we were old enough to get served, back when Greg's father owned the place. When Greg retired from the police force 5 years ago, he bought it and turned it into the kind of place where working men can grab a beer and complain about their lives without judgment. Greg's behind the bar, polishing glasses and watching a Red Sox game on the TV mounted in the corner. The lunch crowd has cleared out, and we've got the place mostly to ourselves. You look like a man with a plan, he says as I slide onto a bar stool. I've been thinking about what you said last night, about keeping everything legal. And you're right. But there's legal, and then there's justice. Sometimes they're not the same thing. Greg sets down the glass he's been polishing and gives me his full attention. What do you need, Tom? Information. You still have contacts at the police department? A few. What kind of information? The kind that's public record but takes some digging to find. Greg nods slowly. I can make some calls. What am I looking for? Everything you can find on Paul Morrison. Traffic tickets, complaints, lawsuits, anything that might be interesting. Tom, I'm not planning to break any laws, Greg. I'm just planning to make sure the truth comes out. All of it. 3 days later, Greg calls me with news. I'm at the job site installing new hardwood flooring when my phone buzzes. You're going to want to hear this, he says without preamble. I'm listening. Your boy Paul Morrison has quite a history. 3 speeding tickets in the last 2 years, all late at night. A noise complaint from his neighbors about loud parties. And get this, 2 harassment complaints filed against him at work in the last 5 years. Harassment complaints? Sexual harassment. Both were settled out of court, but the complaints are still on file with the state licensing board. I set down my nail gun and walk outside where I can talk freely. What else? Well, this is where it gets interesting. I did some digging into his business. Morrison and Associates has been struggling financially. They're behind on their office rent, and they've got several clients threatening to sue over delayed projects. So he's broke? Not broke, but definitely feeling the pinch. And here's the kicker. His wife filed for legal separation 6 months ago. They're living apart, but it's not public knowledge yet. 6 months ago, right around the time Erica started working late and taking mysterious phone calls. Greg, you're a beautiful man. Save it for your wife's boyfriend. What's your next move? I'm going to have a conversation with Mrs. Morrison. Tom. A perfectly legal, perfectly innocent conversation. That evening, I drive across town to the address Greg gave me. Patricia Morrison lives in a modest condo complex, the kind of place successful people live when they're trying to rebuild their lives after a divorce. Her unit is on the 2nd floor, overlooking a small courtyard with a fountain that's seen better days. I ring the doorbell and wait. When the door opens, I'm looking at a woman in her early 40s, attractive in a tired sort of way. She's wearing yoga pants and an oversized sweater, and her dark hair is pulled back in a ponytail. Mrs. Morrison? My name is Tom Bradley. I was wondering if I could talk to you for a few minutes. She looks puzzled but not alarmed. About what? About your husband and my wife. Her expression changes instantly. The puzzlement disappears, replaced by something harder. Come in. Her living room is small but tastefully decorated. There are moving boxes stacked in one corner, and the walls are mostly bare except for a few family photos. She gestures for me to sit on the couch while she takes the chair across from me. How long have you known? She asks. About 6 months. You? Longer. Paul's not as clever as he thinks he is. She studies my face. You don't look surprised that I know. Lady. At this point, nothing would surprise me. She almost smiles at that. Can I get you something to drink? Coffee? Something stronger? Coffee would be great. While she's in the kitchen, I look around the room. The family photos show happier times. Paul and Patricia at various events, smiling and holding hands. There are no recent photos. She returns with 2 mugs of coffee and sits back down. So, Tom Bradley. What do you want from me? Honestly? I'm not sure yet. I guess I wanted to meet the other person getting screwed over in this situation. Fair enough. She takes a sip of her coffee. Your wife is Erica, right? The architect? You've met her? Once. At a Christmas party 2 years ago before I knew what was going on. She seemed nice enough, professional, attractive. She is all of those things. She's also a liar and a cheat. Patricia nods. Paul's specialty. He's very good at making women feel special, like they're the only one who understands him. How many others have there been? That I know of? Your wife makes 4. That I suspect? Probably twice that many. I set down my coffee cup, feeling something cold settle in my stomach. Jesus. Paul has a type. Professional women, usually married, usually successful in their own right. He likes the challenge, I think. The conquest. Why didn't you divorce him sooner? She's quiet for a long moment, staring into her coffee. Because I loved him. Because I kept thinking he'd change. Because I was embarrassed and didn't want people to know what kind of man I'd married. She looks up at me. Stupid reasons, mostly. Not stupid. Human. What about you? Why haven't you confronted your wife yet? It's a good question, and I'm not sure I have a good answer. Because I want to do this right. I want to make sure that when the dust settles, everyone knows the truth about what happened. Revenge, you mean? Justice. She considers this. What did you have in mind? I'm still working on that, but I think it might help if we work together. I'm listening. Over the next hour, Patricia Morrison and I have the most honest conversation I've had with anyone in months. She tells me about Paul's patterns, his lies, his manipulations. I tell her about Erica's behavior, the changes I've noticed, the way she's been rewriting our marriage history to justify her actions. By the time I leave, we have an understanding. We're both victims of the same two people, and we both deserve better than what we got. More importantly, we both deserve the truth to come out. Tom, Patricia says as I'm leaving, be careful. Paul can be vindictive when he feels cornered. So can I. The next morning, I'm at the job site early, trying to work off some of the energy that's been building inside me. Danny arrives at 7 with coffee and donuts, same as always. Boss, you've been working like a man possessed lately. Everything okay? Just trying to stay busy, Danny. Yeah? Well, maybe you should take a day off. Go fishing or something. You're making the rest of us look bad. I laugh despite myself. Thanks for the concern, but I'm fine. If you say so. Oh, hey, I meant to tell you. My wife ran into your wife at the grocery store yesterday. I stop what I'm doing and turn to face him. Yeah? Yeah, she said Mrs. Bradley looked great. Real happy, you know? Like she was glowing or something. Glowing. Right. I know exactly why she's glowing. That's nice, Danny. Carmen asked her about the conference she went to last weekend. You know, the architecture thing? And, well, that's the weird part. Mrs. Bradley acted like she didn't know what Carmen was talking about, said she hadn't been to any conference. I feel something cold slide down my spine. She said that? Yeah. Carmen thought maybe she misunderstood or something, but she was pretty sure that's what Mrs. Bradley told her. So Erica's not even bothering to keep her stories straight anymore. That's either very stupid or very confident. Knowing my wife, it's probably both. Thanks for letting me know, Danny. Sure thing, boss. Like I said, probably just a misunderstanding. Probably. But we both know it wasn't. That afternoon, I get a call from Sammy. She's crying, which immediately puts me on high alert. Dad? Can you come pick me up? What's wrong, sweetheart? Where are you? I'm at Mom's office. She was supposed to take me to lunch, but when I got here, she wasn't alone. My blood turns to ice. What do you mean? She was with some man. In her office. The door was closed, but I could see through the glass partition. They were kissing, Dad. Where are you now? In the parking lot. I can't go back in there. I'll be right there. Don't move. I drop everything and drive across town to Morrison and Associates. When I get there, Sammy is sitting on a bench outside the building, looking lost and confused. She's always been mature for her age, but right now she looks like the little girl I used to read bedtime stories to. I sit down next to her and put my arm around her shoulders. You okay? No, I'm really not okay. She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. Dad, is Mom having an affair? There it is. The question I've been dreading. The moment when my daughter's innocence about her parents' marriage dies forever. Yes, sweetheart. She is. Sammy starts crying again, and I hold her while she sobs. People walk past us on the sidewalk, probably wondering what's wrong, but I don't care. My daughter is hurting, and it's because of choices her mother made. How long have you known? She asks when the tears slow down. A few months. I guess I was hoping it would end before you found out. Is that why you've been acting weird lately? Probably. I'm sorry, Sammy. I never wanted you to get hurt by this. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. But whatever I do, I want you to know that none of this is your fault. Your mother and I, we lost our way somewhere. That's on us, not you. She nods, wiping her nose with a tissue from her purse. Are you going to divorce her? I think so. Would that bother you? I just want you to be happy, Dad. Both of you. And if you can't be happy together. She trails off, but I know what she means. Come on, I say, standing up. Let me take you back to school. What about Mom? I look up at the building, wondering if Erica even knows her daughter was here, wondering if she cares. Your mother made her choice, sweetheart. Now she gets to live with it. 2 weeks later, everything comes to a head. I'm working late in my home office, going over invoices and project schedules, when I hear Erica's key in the front door. It's almost midnight, and she's been working late again. She comes into the office, looking flustered and defensive. Her hair is messed up, and her lipstick is gone. She's not even trying to hide it anymore. Tom, we need to talk. I look up from my paperwork. Do we? I think we should see a marriage counselor. I lean back in my chair and study her. After 22 years of marriage, I know all her tells. The way she touches her hair when she's lying. The way she avoids eye contact when she's feeling guilty. The way she goes on the offensive when she knows she's been caught. A marriage counselor. Interesting idea. What brought this on? We've been growing apart, Tom. We don't communicate anymore. We don't spend time together. I feel like we're becoming strangers. Whose fault is that, Erica? It's nobody's fault. It's just what happens sometimes. But I think we can fix it if we both try. I set down my pen and give her my full attention. Fix what exactly? Our marriage. Our relationship. The distance between us. And you think a marriage counselor can help with that? I think it's worth trying, don't you? I stand up and walk over to where she's standing. She takes a small step back, which tells me everything I need to know about her state of mind. Erica, do you love me? The question catches her off guard. Of course I love you. You're my husband. That's not what I asked. Do you love me? She hesitates just a moment too long. Yes, I love you. When was the last time we made love? Another hesitation. I don't know. A few weeks ago? Try 3 months. When was the last time we had dinner together? Just the two of us? Tom, what is this? Some kind of test? When was the last time you told me about your day? Really told me, not just gave me the highlights. I tell you about my day all the time. No, Erica. You give me edited versions. You tell me about meetings and deadlines and client problems. You don't tell me about Paul Morrison. The color drains from her face. For a moment, she looks like she might deny it. Then something shifts in her expression, and I see the real Erica underneath all the pretense. How long have you known? Long enough? Are you going to make this difficult? And there it is. Not an apology, not an explanation, not even a denial, just a question about whether I'm going to make her life inconvenient. That depends on what you mean by difficult. I mean, are you going to be reasonable about this? We're adults, Tom. These things happen. We can handle this like civilized people. I almost laugh. Civilized people. Like she's been civilized while she's been screwing around behind my back for months. What exactly are you proposing, Erica? I think we should separate for a while. Give each other some space to figure out what we want. Maybe try counseling. See if we can work things out. And Paul Morrison? Paul is complicated. I'm sure he is. Does his wife think he's complicated too? Erica's eyes narrow. What do you know about his wife? I know she filed for separation 6 months ago. I know she's living in a condo across town. I know she's been dealing with Paul's affairs a lot longer than I have. You talked to her? We had coffee. Nice lady. Very understanding about the situation. Erica sinks into the chair across from my desk. For the first time since this conversation started, she looks genuinely shaken. Tom, I never meant for this to happen. But it did happen. And you kept it happening. For months. I know, and I'm sorry. But Paul and there's something between us. Something real. Something real. Like what you and I had was fake? That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean, Erica? Help me understand how you justify this. She's quiet for a long moment, staring at her hands. When she finally speaks, her voice is barely above a whisper. I felt dead, Tom. In our marriage, in my life. I felt like I was just going through the motions, day after day, year after year, and then Paul came along and he made me feel alive again. So this is my fault? No. Yes. I don't know. Maybe it's nobody's fault. Maybe we just grew apart. Or maybe you decided to have an affair instead of working on our marriage. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple, Erica. You made a choice. Every time you met him, every time you lied to me, every time you came home and pretended everything was fine, those were choices. She starts crying, but I don't feel sorry for her. I used to. 6 months ago, if I'd seen my wife cry, I would have done anything to make it stop. Now I just feel empty. What do you want from me, Tom? I want you to move out, tonight. Tonight? Tom, be reasonable. I need time to find a place, to pack my things. You can stay at Paul's place. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to have you. He's still married. So are you. She wipes her eyes and stands up. Fine. I'll pack a bag and stay at my sister's place tonight, but we're going to have to work out the details eventually. The house, the finances, custody arrangements for Sammy. Sammy's 19, Erica. She doesn't need custody arrangements. You know what I mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. You mean you want to make sure you get your fair share of everything we built together while you were busy tearing it apart? That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been you coming to me 6 months ago and telling me you were unhappy. Fair would have been trying to work on our marriage before you decided to find someone else. Fair would have been not letting our daughter walk in on you kissing your boyfriend. Erica goes very still. Sammy saw us? 2 weeks ago. She came to your office for lunch, remember? Except you were too busy with Paul to notice your daughter was there. Oh God, is she okay? No, Erica. She's not okay. Her mother is having an affair, her parents are getting divorced, and her family is falling apart. How do you think she is? Erica starts crying again, harder this time. I never wanted to hurt her. But you did. You hurt her, and you hurt me, and you hurt yourself. And for what? For Paul Morrison, a serial cheater who's going to do the same thing to you that he did to his wife? You don't know him like I do. I know him better than you think. I know about the harassment complaints. I know about the other affairs. I know about the financial problems at his company. What I don't know is why you think you're different from all the other women he's used and thrown away. Erica stares at me like she's seeing me for the first time. You've been investigating us. I've been protecting myself. There's a difference. What else do you know? Everything, Erica. I know everything. She stands there for a moment, processing this information. Then she nods, like she's made a decision. I'll pack a bag and go to my sister's. We can talk about the rest later. There's nothing to talk about. I'm filing for divorce. Tom, we're done, Erica. We've been done for months. The only difference is now we're both admitting it. She leaves the room without another word. I hear her moving around upstairs, packing clothes and toiletries. 20 minutes later, she's back downstairs with a suitcase and her laptop bag. I'll call you in a few days. We need to discuss the practical details. Have your lawyer call my lawyer. You already have a lawyer? I've had a lawyer for 2 weeks. She stares at me again, and I can see the wheels turning in her head. She's realizing that while she thought she was being clever, I was 3 steps ahead of her. Goodbye, Tom. Goodbye, Erica. After she leaves, I sit in my office for a long time, listening to the silence. The house feels different already, emptier, but also cleaner somehow, like a weight has been lifted. I pick up my phone and call Patricia Morrison. It's Tom. She's gone. How do you feel? Relieved, angry, sad, all at the same time. That sounds about right. What's next? Now the real work begins. The divorce proceedings drag on for 3 months, but they're not as contentious as I expected. Erica wants to get it over with quickly, probably so she can move on with her new life. I'm fine with that. The faster we can end this charade, the better. My lawyer, Janet Kowalski, is a sharp woman in her 50s who specializes in divorce cases. She's seen it all, and nothing surprises her anymore. Your wife's attorney is pushing for a 50-50 split of all assets, she tells me during one of our meetings. House, retirement accounts, business assets, everything. What do you think? I think she's dreaming. Massachusetts is an equitable distribution state, not a community property state. The judge will consider several factors, including the length of the marriage, each party's contribution to the marital assets, and any misconduct. Misconduct? Adultery. It doesn't carry as much weight as it used to, but it's still a factor, especially when there's evidence of financial impropriety. What kind of financial impropriety? Janet slides a folder across her desk. Credit card statements. Your wife has been spending significant amounts of money on restaurants, hotels, and gifts over the past 8 months. Money from joint accounts that was spent on her affair. I flip through the statements. Expensive dinners at restaurants I've never been to, hotel rooms in the city, jewelry purchases from stores I've never heard of, hundreds of dollars in charges at Victoria's Secret. She was spending our money on her boyfriend? That's what it looks like. In Massachusetts, this is considered dissipation of marital assets. The court can order her to reimburse the marital estate for money spent on extramarital relationships. How much are we talking about? Based on these statements? About $15,000 over 8 months. I lean back in my chair, processing this information. $15,000 of our money, spent on Paul Morrison. Money we could have used for Sammy's college expenses or home improvements or our retirement. What else? Well, there's the matter of her income. She's been claiming that her affair hasn't affected her work performance, but I did some digging. Morrison and Associates has lost 3 major clients in the past 6 months. Their revenue is down 30% from last year. Is that relevant? It could be. If her relationship with Paul Morrison has affected her earning capacity, it impacts the alimony calculation. Over the next few weeks, more information comes to light. Paul Morrison's wife, Patricia, has been very helpful in providing documentation of her husband's pattern of affairs and financial irresponsibility. It turns out that Paul has been using company funds to pay for his extramarital activities for years. The state licensing board is investigating Morrison and Associates, Janet tells me during another meeting. Patricia Morrison filed a complaint alleging financial misconduct and ethical violations. What kind of violations? Using client trust funds for personal expenses. Billing clients for work that wasn't performed. falsifying project timelines to cover up delays caused by personal issues. Personal issues meaning his affairs? That's the allegation. And if it's proven, both Paul Morrison and anyone who aided or benefited from the misconduct could face professional sanctions. Including Erica. Including Erica. The pieces are falling into place, but I'm not satisfied yet. Erica and Paul have destroyed my marriage and hurt my daughter, and they're going to face consequences beyond just a messy divorce. I want them to understand that actions have consequences, and that some people fight back when they're wronged. That's when I remember something Danny mentioned weeks ago. His cousin Maria, who used to clean Paul Morrison's office. I asked Danny to set up a meeting. Maria Rivera is a small woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. We meet at a coffee shop downtown, and she's nervous at first, unsure why I want to talk to her. Danny said you wanted to ask about my old job. I'm going through a divorce, Maria. My wife was having an affair with Paul Morrison. I'm trying to understand what kind of man he is. Her expression hardens. He's a pig. Can you be more specific? Over the next hour, Maria tells me things that make my blood boil. Paul Morrison's pattern of sexual harassment wasn't limited to his employees. He regularly made inappropriate comments to the cleaning staff, the delivery people, anyone he perceived as being beneath him socially. He thought because I was just the cleaning lady, he could say whatever he wanted to me, Maria says. He would make comments about my body, ask personal questions about my marriage, offer to pay me extra for special services. Did you report this to anyone? Who was I going to report it to? He owned the company, and I needed the job. What made you finally quit? Maria is quiet for a moment, stirring her coffee. One night I was working late, cleaning the offices. Mr. Morrison came back to get something he'd forgotten. He'd been drinking. I could smell it on him. He cornered me in his office and he put his hands on me. What did you do? I hit him with my mop bucket and ran. Quit the next day. Maria, would you be willing to tell this story to other people? Maybe to a lawyer or a licensing board? Why? Because Paul Morrison is still out there, still treating women like objects, and because my wife chose to have an affair with a man who sexually assaults cleaning ladies. Maria considers this. Will it help stop him? It might. Then yes. I'll tell anyone who will listen. 2 days later, I get a call from Greg. He sounds excited. Tom, you need to get down to the bar. Now. What's going on? Just get down here. Trust me. When I arrive at the Rusty Anchor, Greg is behind the bar with a huge grin on his face. There are a few regulars scattered around, but the place is mostly empty. Okay, I'm here. What's so important? Greg slides a newspaper across the bar. It's the local weekly, and the headline makes my heart race. Local architecture firm under investigation for financial misconduct. I read the article quickly. The state licensing board has launched a formal investigation into Morrison and Associates based on complaints from former employees and clients. The article mentions allegations of misuse of client funds, falsified billing records, and a pattern of unprofessional conduct. This is just the beginning, Greg says. I heard from my buddy at the State House. They're taking this seriously. If they find evidence of criminal misconduct, they'll refer it to the district attorney's office. What about Erica? As a partner in the firm, she could be held liable for any misconduct that occurred on her watch, even if she wasn't directly involved. I fold the newspaper and set it on the bar. How did this become public so fast? Well, it seems like several people came forward with information all at once. Former employees, clients, even some cleaning lady who had problems with Morrison. I look at Greg, and he gives me an innocent smile. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you? Me? I'm just a simple bar owner who happens to know a lot of people. That evening, I get a call from Erica. She's crying and angry and desperate. Tom, you have to help me. Help you with what? The investigation. The licensing board. They're saying I might lose my professional license. That's terrible, Erica. Really awful. Don't be sarcastic. This is serious. This could ruin my career. Maybe you should have thought about that before you started sleeping with your business partner. This isn't about the affair. This is about Paul's business practices. I didn't know what he was doing. You didn't know? You were his partner, Erica. You were sleeping with him. You expect people to believe you had no idea he was stealing from clients? I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Well, you'll have your chance to explain that to the licensing board. Tom, please. We were married for 22 years. Doesn't that mean anything to you? It meant everything to me, Erica. That's why this hurts so much. I made a mistake. I know that now, but I don't deserve to have my whole life destroyed because of it. What about my life? What about Sammy's life? Did you think about what you were destroying when you decided to have an affair? That's different. No, Erica. It's exactly the same. You made choices, and now you get to live with the consequences. She's quiet for a long moment. When she speaks again, her voice is small and defeated. I lost my job today. Paul fired me. He fired you? He said the firm couldn't afford to keep me on during the investigation. He said it was temporary, just until things get sorted out. And you believe him? I don't know what to believe anymore. Welcome to the club. After I hang up, I sit in my kitchen, thinking about the conversation. Part of me feels sorry for Erica. She's losing everything: her marriage, her job, her reputation, possibly her career. But then I remember the lies, the betrayal, the way she looked me in the eye and pretended everything was fine while she was planning her exit strategy. She made her choices. Now she gets to live with them. 6 months later, the dust has settled, and the final scorecard is in. Paul Morrison's architectural license has been permanently revoked. Morrison and Associates has been dissolved, and Paul is facing criminal charges for embezzlement and fraud. He's also facing a civil lawsuit from Patricia, who is seeking damages for years of financial and emotional abuse. Erica's license was suspended for 2 years, and she's been ordered to pay restitution to several clients who were overcharged for services. She's currently working as a drafting technician for a small firm across the state, making about 1/3 of what she used to earn. The divorce was finalized last month. I got the house, my business, and most of our retirement savings. Erica got her car, her personal belongings, and a small settlement that barely covers her legal fees. The judge was not sympathetic to her claims of being an innocent victim. Sammy is doing well. She was hurt and confused by the divorce at first, but she's resilient, like her old man. She spends most of her time with me now, and she's started helping out with the business during her summer breaks. She has a good head for numbers and a better eye for design than I ever did. Dad, she says one evening as we're working on a kitchen renovation together, can I ask you something? Sure, sweetheart. What's on your mind? Do you ever feel bad about what happened to Mom? It's a fair question, and she deserves an honest answer. Sometimes. I feel bad that our marriage failed. I feel bad that she made the choices she made. But I don't feel bad about holding her accountable for those choices. Some people think you were too hard on her. Some people didn't have to live with the lies and the betrayal. Some people didn't have to watch their daughter's heart break when she found out her mother was cheating. Sammy nods, considering this. I'm proud of you, Dad, for standing up for yourself, for not just rolling over and taking it. Thanks, kiddo. That means a lot. What about Mr. Morrison? Do you feel bad about what happened to him? I think about Paul Morrison, currently awaiting trial and facing the possibility of prison time. I think about the women he harassed and assaulted over the years. I think about the clients he stole from and the lives he damaged in pursuit of his own selfish desires. No, I say finally. I don't feel bad about Paul Morrison at all. That night, I'm sitting on my front porch, enjoying a beer and watching the sunset, when Patricia Morrison pulls into my driveway. We've stayed in touch over the past few months, comparing notes on our respective divorce proceedings and the ongoing criminal investigation. "Tom," she says as she walks up the steps, "I wanted to thank you." "For what?" "For everything. For helping me find the courage to fight back. For connecting me with people who could provide evidence. For showing me that I didn't have to be a victim." "You did all the hard work, Patricia. I just pointed you in the right direction. Still, I couldn't have done it without you." She sits down in the chair next to mine. "I heard from the prosecutor today. Paul's going to plead guilty to avoid a trial. That's good news. He'll probably get 2 to 5 years, and he'll have to pay full restitution to everyone he stole from. What about you? How are you holding up?" "Better than I expected. I got a job with a non-profit organization that helps women who've been victims of domestic abuse. It doesn't pay much, but it's meaningful work." "That sounds perfect for you. What about Erica? Have you heard from her lately?" "She calls Sammy sometimes. They're trying to rebuild their relationship, which is good. As for me and her, we don't have much to say to each other anymore." Patricia nods. "Probably for the best." We sit in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sun disappear behind the trees. It's been a long, difficult year, but we both came through it stronger than we were before. "Tom," Patricia says eventually, "do you think we're bad people? For what we did to them?" "We didn't do anything to them, Patricia. We just made sure the truth came out. They did everything else to themselves." "I suppose you're right. Besides," I add with a grin, "sometimes bad people need to face consequences. That's not cruelty. That's justice." 3 weeks later, I'm at the Rusty Anchor, celebrating the completion of our biggest project of the year, a complete renovation of the old courthouse that's been turned into a community center. Danny and the rest of my crew are there, along with Greg and several of our friends and neighbors. "Speech!" someone calls out, and the crowd takes up the chant. I stand up, raising my beer bottle. All right. You want a speech? Here's your speech. A year ago, I thought my life was falling apart. I thought I was losing everything that mattered to me. But you know what I learned? Sometimes when your life falls apart, it's because it needed to fall apart. Sometimes you have to tear down the old structure before you can build something better. The crowd murmurs agreement. I learned that you can't control what other people do, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to be a victim, or you can choose to fight back. You can choose to let people walk all over you, or you can choose to stand up for yourself. Damn right, Greg calls out, raising his own beer. Most importantly, I learned that justice isn't something that just happens. It's something you have to work for. It's something you have to fight for. And sometimes, when the system fails you, you have to create your own justice. The crowd cheers, and I take a long drink from my beer. So here's to second chances. Here's to new beginnings. And here's to making sure that the people who try to tear you down learn that you're not as easy to break as they thought. The cheers get louder, and someone starts a round of applause that goes on for several minutes. Later that night, after everyone has gone home, Greg and I are cleaning up the bar. Hell of a speech, he says. Hell of a year. Any regrets? I think about it for a moment. Do I regret the way things played out? Do I regret the investigation, the exposure, the public humiliation of my ex-wife and her lover? No, I say finally. No regrets. They made their choices, and I made mine. The only difference is, my choices were about seeking justice. Theirs were about seeking pleasure at other people's expense. Think you'll ever see Erica again? Probably. Small town, you know. But it won't be awkward. We're different people now than we were when we were married. Maybe we're better people. What's next for Tom Bradley? Same thing that's always been next. Work hard, take care of my daughter, try to build something worthwhile. The difference is, now I'm doing it on my own terms. Greg nods approvingly. Sounds like a plan. As I drive home that night, I think about the past year and everything that's happened. I lost a wife, but I gained self-respect. I lost a marriage, but I gained the knowledge that I'm stronger than I thought I was. I lost the life I thought I wanted, but I gained the life I actually deserve. When I pull into my driveway, I see that the light is on in Sammy's room. She's home from college for the weekend, probably studying or video chatting with friends. My daughter, who's learned that sometimes the people you love will disappoint you, but that doesn't mean you stop fighting for what's right. I sit in my truck for a moment, looking at my house. It's not a fancy house, but it's mine. I built most of it with my own hands, and I've earned every square inch of it. Tomorrow I'll get up and go to work, building and fixing and creating things that will last. It's honest work, meaningful work, and it's enough. Paul Morrison is in prison. Erica is starting over in a different state, trying to rebuild a career she destroyed through her own poor choices. Patricia Morrison is helping other women find the courage to fight back against the men who've wronged them. And I'm here, in my own house, with my daughter upstairs and my business thriving and my self-respect intact. Justice isn't always pretty. It isn't always fair. But sometimes if you're willing to fight for it, it's exactly what you need. I turn off the truck and head inside. Tomorrow is another day, and I've got work to do.